Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Big Boys podcast. Um, this week is Valentine's week, and we were going to do an original Valentine's Day podcast, but we forgot that it was Valentine's Day week, and so what we had planned was a journey into paranormal stories, you could say, because what's more romantic than being scared?
Than some spooky stories to tell your friends.
That's right.
You know?
So we're
and all 11 of you guys that are subscribed to us are our friends, and we just want to share these spooky stories with you and throw in our little comments on what we think.
Share the love, you know. So Kenny, Kenny, you're going first today. Well, what story you got for us?
Okay, I'm going first. Today I have the real life story of the Perron family, who that's the family in The Conjuring.
Oh boy.
The real life story of what actually happened. So the Perron family, they lived in that farmhouse in Rhode Island for 10 years, which to me that seems kind of weird, because they were being haunted by a demon witch. Why would they stay in that house for 10 years?
I would have moved out 1 week.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, 28 days.
28 days.
I would have been gone. I would have been gone after the first incident. I'm not sure if they had a dog and it actually died. I haven't gotten that far in this article, but in the movie, the witch killed their dog. I would have been gone there, and I'd be like, no way, that bitch killed my dog. I gotta go get a new dog, and I'm moving out.
Oh boy. All right.
And the witch, that was Bathsheba Sherman. She was born in 1812, and she married a fellow Rhode Islander, Judson Sherman, who was 1 year older than her. That's pretty scandalous for the 1800s.
For sure.
Marrying somebody 1 year older than you. They were married in Connecticut. Bathsheba filled the role of housewife while her husband worked as a farmer on their land. They were fairly well off, and Bathsheba had a son whose name was Herbert. He was born when Bathsheba was 37 years young in the March of 1849. It says it's possible that they had 3 other children as well, but those other 3 children did not make it past the age of 7 because Bathsheba was an anti-vax mother.
Kidding. We don't know.
Her birth name was actually Karen. I'm kidding about that. No census records could be found to confirm that she had 3 other kids, but we're just going to say that she did. The family also usually took in a boarder, most likely to help them on the farm, which I still have no idea what a boarder is.
Like a farmhand, probably. A hired worker.
It's a farmhand. It's not a homeless kid.
I don't think so.
Was Bathsheba a real witch? There's no hard evidence to support that Bathsheba was a real witch, only local folklore. And having lived on a neighboring farm in the 1800s, suspicion grew when an infant mysteriously died in her care. When the baby was examined, it was determined that the mortal wound was caused by a large sewing needle that had been impaled at the base of the child's skull.
My needle slipped.
No, I was just sewing up a little scarf for the winter time, and
he jumped in front of my needle.
Oops a daisy, the needle went through his skull. I don't know. I could imagine that was her excuse.
Probably, word for word.
Though the townspeople believed that Bathsheba sacrificed the infant as an offering to Big Boy Lucy down in hell, due to insufficient evidence, a court found that she was innocent of any wrongdoing. Despite her name being cleared legally, the public was not convinced. Flash forward to the Salem witch trials. I'm kidding. In her book, House of Darkness, House of Light, Andrea Perron describes her mother, Caroline, talking to a man who she refers to as Mr. McKeechern? I don't know how to pronounce it.
Move on.
It's supposedly a bit of a local historian. Wow. Mr. McEachern told Caroline that Bathsheba treated the help. Okay, so we know what that is badly, and that she starved and beat her Sherman Farm staff.
Well, that's pretty. I'm not going to say backwards, but
I forgot that this was in the 1800s.
Yeah, for the time period,
when,
that was a bit strange.
Yeah. I was like, the help. What is this? 1800? And it turns out it is. We discovered the suspected witch Bathsheba died as an old woman on May 25th, 1885, roughly 4 years after her husband died in 1881. Bathsheba lived to see her son Herbert marry his fiancée Anna in 1881. Wow.
Dun, dun, dun.
So that's pretty wild. Various articles online will have you believe that her body literally turned to stone when she died, or that Bathsheba died from a bizarre form of paralysis that puzzled and frightened doctors. Their basis is never more than legend and local folklore or internet rumors. Wow.
What?
And these same articles often state that Bathsheba had 4 children, all of whom died before reaching the age of 4. However, the U.S. government says...
I don't think so, pal.
That's wrong. As for her 3 other children, we could only find an unofficial record of their existence on a public internet family tree that lists their names as Julia, who was born in 1845, Edward, born in 47, and George, born in 53, all in the 1800s. It's possible that they died before the next census was conducted, and they got those records off of Ancestry.com.
Wow, not a plug or a sponsor.
They looked up a fucking 1800 lady on Ancestry.com.
All right.
Wow.
So what's next?
A gravestone is the real parent family used in the movie. How many people died on the farmhouse property? Here we go. This is the good stuff. 8 generations of one extended family lived and died in that house prior to the parent family living there. Some of them never left. Wow, that's pretty wild. That over the course of its existence, the property had been host to 2 suicides by hanging, 1 suicide by poison, the rape and murder of 11-year-old Prudence Arnold by a farmhand, 2 drownings, and the passing of 4 men who froze to death, in addition to other tragic loss. Dang, that house.
That's not good.
That house got a lot of death, bro. Even Bathsheba was an Arnold. What? In her book, Andrea Perrin addresses the members of the Arnold family who died on the farm, where she states most of the recorded deaths which occurred on the farm were in that family. Mrs. John Arnold, Harmony, Johnny, and Prudence, even Bathsheba was an Arnold. However, with regard to the with Prudence, the 11-year-old, her official death record indicates that she died in the town of Uxbridge, Massachusetts.
Let's just skip forward to something.
She didn't die in the house.
When do we get to the good stuff?
The record lists her cause of death as her throat was cut by W.E.K. These initials contradict the name Andrea gives in her book, Bill Norton. I don't know. William. Have any other homeowners who lived in the Perrin family home had paranormal experiences? Everyone who has lived in the house that we know of has experienced this. Some have left screaming and running for their lives. The man who moved in to begin the restoration on the house when we sold it, after 10 years, left screaming without his car, without his tools, without his clothing. He never went back to the house, and consequently the people who owned it, the adjacent landowners, never moved in, and it sat vacant for years.
Boy.
He forgot his clothes. That's basically it there. Bathsheba wasn't a witch, I guess. There was just
that's the whole story?
Yeah.
That's boring. Nothing ever happened nothing actually happened at the house?
if I could get like a free PDF version of the book that Andrea Perrin wrote, I bet that would be pretty good.
If you look to see if there's actually anything like with Ed and Lorraine Warren at that house, that would be cool. Otherwise, do you want me to start on mine?
Yeah, you start on yours.
All right, so mine is I'm doing The Conjuring 2, which is based a lot more off of a true story than the first one was. And thank you to historyversushollywood.com because I'm using all their information to tell you this. So let's see. When did the Enfield haunting begin? That's the whole event. You could call it the Enfield haunting. Well, The Conjuring 2's true story reveals that, according to the mother, Peggy Hodgson, the haunting of her Enfield home began on the evening of August 30th, 1977, and it was on that night that her daughter Janet told her that her brother's beds were wobbling. The next evening, Mrs. Hodgson heard a loud noise from upstairs. She entered her children's bedroom and saw a chest of drawers moving. She tried to stop the heavy oak chest as it moved towards the door, concluding that an invisible force was trying to trap them in the room. It started, I'm doing this in her voice, it started in a back bedroom. The chest of drawers moved, and you could hear shuffling, recalled the real Janet Hodgson many years later in a Channel 4 Enfield poltergeist documentary. We were told what was going on, and she came to look for it herself, and she saw the drawers moving, and when she tried to push it, she couldn't push it. Let's see. Did they hear a strange knocking coming from the walls? Yes. Knocking would fade in and out as it ran down the wall, supposedly frightening the family so much that they all slept in the same room with the light on. Vic Nottingham, a neighbor, claims that when he went to the house to investigate at the family's request, he heard a knocking on the wall and on the ceiling, leaving him somewhat frightened. The knocking can be heard during this Jane Hodgson interview that was conducted in the home. I'm not clicking on that link. Just a heads up, I'll say it at the end of this, but the thing about this that's interesting is that the police are a little bit involved in this, and they have audio recordings of stuff, which is kind of a little bit hard to dispute, but do with that what you will. While exploring The Conjuring 2's true story, we learn that the single mother, Peggy Hodgson, took the family next door and pleaded for help. The neighbors, Vic and Peggy Nottingham, offered to go into the home to investigate. I went in there and I couldn't make out these noises. There was a knocking on the wall, in the bedroom, and on the ceiling, said Vic. I was beginning to get a bit frightened. In the Conjuring 2 movie, Peggy's daughter, Janet, rises high into the air and finds herself pinned against the ceiling. This is a complete exaggeration of what allegedly happened in the real-life story during the Enfield haunting. Photographs of the real Janet Hodgson levitating only show her a short distance above the bed, see below. This, coupled with the way her body is positioned in the air, has led many to believe that she simply jumped from her bed. The questionable photos were taken by Daily Mirror photographer Graham Morris after the family contacted the press. The levitation was scary, recalled Janet, because you didn't know where you were going to land. Supporting the family's claims were two witnesses, a baker and a lollipop lady, who were passing by outside and claimed to have seen Janet hovering above her bed as they looked through an upstairs window. The lady saw me spinning around and banging against the window, recalls Janet. I thought I might actually break the window and go through it, and I'm looking at these pictures, and they're really...
It looks like she's jumping from the bed, but whoever wrote this article set that up to do that. It does look like she's just jumping from the bed onto the floor. It does.
At first I thought it was maybe the other girl, but yeah, I mean, you're not missing too much. So...
I mean, she's screaming. Yes. Nobody can act that good. She's actually levitating.
Did demonologist Ed and Lorraine Warren really investigate the Enfield poltergeist case? Yes, but to a far lesser degree than what is portrayed in the movie, which is somewhat misleading. Bill, shut the frick up. Let's see. Paranormal researchers Ed and Lorraine Warren briefly investigated the Enfield poltergeist in the summer of 1978 and were just two of the many investigators to visit the Hodgsons' North London home on Green Street. Many articles about the Enfield poltergeist case don't even mention the Warrens, leading one to conclude that their role in the case was significantly dramatized for The Conjuring 2. Okay. Ed Warren touched the case and its skeptics in Gerald Brittle's book, The Demonologist, stating, "In humans, what voice should I do for Ed Warren?"
He looks like he's a Markiplier kind of guy.
He's a more what?
Markiplier kind of guy.
Hello, everybody.
I feel like he has a
Ed Warren.
Yeah, Ed Warren.
In human spirit phenomena were in progress. Now that you couldn't record the dangerous, threatening atmosphere inside that little house, but you could film the levitations, teleportations, and dematerializations of people and objects that were happening there. Not to mention the many hundreds of hours of tapes and recording made to the spirit voices speaking out in the loud rooms. End quote. As the case became widely viewed as a hoax, some saw it as proof that the Warrens themselves were frauds. Dun 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 dun. Okay. Here's the weird part. Was 11-year-old Janet Hodgson really possessed by a dead man named Bill Wilkins? While fact-checking The Conjuring 2, we discovered that this part of the movie was to some degree inspired by the audio tapes of the real Janet Hodgson, and I'm not clicking on this link because I've heard it and it's very scary. In the recordings, this is like real, like, I don't know if you call it real life. Yeah, it was real life. This isn't in the movie. In the recordings in 78 or whatever, she can be heard conveying a message via an eerie voice, which is supposedly that of Bill Wilkins, a man who had died in the living room of the same house several years earlier. "Just before I died, I went blind," said the voice. "And then I had a hemorrhage, and I fell asleep, and I died in the chair in the corner downstairs." An interview with Janet Hodgson at the time suggests that the idea of talking in a possessed voice may have been encouraged and planted in Janet's mind by paranormal investigator Maurice Gross. When asked when the voices started, Janet said that one night Maurice Gross told them, "All we need to know is the voices to talk." Almost immediately following this suggestion, they did. The voices had mainly growled, barked, and made similar noises prior to this. "I felt used by a force that nobody understands," said the real Jan Hodgson, and she was talking to the UK's Channel 4 years later. "I don't really like to think about it too much. I'm not sure the poltergeist was truly evil. It almost feels as if it wanted to be part of our family. It didn't want to hurt us. It had died there and wanted to be at rest. The only way it could communicate was through me and my sister." Did the man who allegedly possessed Janet, aka Bill Wilkins, die in the downstairs living room years earlier? Yes. In exploring the Enfield haunting, we learned that Bill Wilkins' son Terry confirmed that he had died in the manner similar to how Janet described when she was possessed.
Dang, that's wild.
Did the paranormal activity begin after they played with the Ouija board? Yes, at least according to the real Janet Hodgson, who said that she and her sister Margaret played with the Ouija board just prior to the start of the supernatural activity.
They forgot to close it out. Silly people.
Here we go. Did furniture really move? Perhaps the most credible claim of this is the furniture moving in the Hodgson home at 284 Green Street, which involved a policeman named Carolyn Heaps, who signed an you're a cop. What is this?
Affidavit.
What does that mean?
It's basically a statement.
To the effect that she had witnessed an armchair levitate approximately half an inch and move close to 4 feet across the floor. In all, there were more than 30 witnesses to similar strange events in the home. In addition to furniture moving, they all supposedly witnessed objects flying around, cold breezes, physical assaults, pool of water appearing on the floor, graffiti, and most incredibly, matches spontaneously lighting. Yeah.
I found stuff on Annabelle too, and also The Conjuring.
What caused the Enfield poltergeist to quiet down? The real Janet Hodgson believes it was a priest's 1978 visit to the family's Enfield home in North London that caused the haunting to calm down, not the Warrens. Though the occurrences did not end completely, Peggy still heard noises in the house from time to time, and Janet's younger brother Billy, who lived there until his mother passed, remarked that you always felt like you were being watched. And down here there's pictures of Janet Hodgson being possessed, but I'm not going to scroll down and look at that, so...
Come on, please scroll down. Let me look at it, please. It's literally... It's 4:00 in the afternoon right now. I'm not gonna have nightmare. Oh Lord.
It's not that bad.
The Hollywood one looks a lot scarier than the real. Looks like she just got slapped and she's in pain.
So that's what I got for that. Do you wanted to go back to anything?
Yeah. Here I got Annabelle right here. According to the Warrens, the real Annabelle case dates all the way back to 1970, when a Raggedy Ann doll was purchased from an antique store by a woman for her daughter. That's right. The real Annabelle is a Raggedy Ann doll. It's not a porcelain, creepy doll. Upon arriving home that day, the doll was tossed on a bed and not given a second thought, at least not until it started to make itself more comfortable by changing positions.
Oh.
Wow. Alarmed but choosing to not let superstitions cloud their logic, they attributed the doll's shifting positions to the bed being nudged. Their opinion changed when it started making itself at home. What does that mean?
Sleeping in the bed.
The doll was also a deft hand with the quill, leaving notes around the house which contained the messages, "Help me," and "Help Lou." Then one night they would return home and find the doll covered in blood. That's weird. Thus, an expert was called in who put them into contact with the spirit inhabiting the doll. Her name was Annabelle, a 7-year-old who was murdered years before and left to rot in the field. During the seance with the expert medium, Annabelle told them she felt comfortable living with them and wanted to stay and be loved. Feeling sympathetic, the mother and daughter agreed to let the doll stay with them as part of their little family. However, it was telling fibs. This was no little girl. Annabelle was a demon with behavioral problems.
Ooh, teenage rebellion.
That's a direct quote from the Warrens. The Warrens were brought in to investigate, and their results concluded that the doll was possessed. It now resides in their occult museum in Connecticut, living the dream in a display case for paying customers to goggle at. And there's a sign on the case that says, "Warning, positively do not
I heard that
open."
you're not supposed to take pictures of it either.
There's pictures of it. There was another one that we're not supposed to take pictures of. It's a doll called Robert.
That's you're right. That's that one. I remember hearing about that.
That's not with them, I don't think, though. But when we go to the Warrens Occult Museum, I'm definitely opening that case.
Do it for the views. Do it for the views.
By now, some of you will be aware of the true story behind The Conjuring. So here we go. It says here, at first the spirits were harmless, friendly even. They would help with the chores, play with the children, and make themselves a welcome presence in the home.
Wow, that sounds like fun.
However, later they would discover the not-so-nice spirits. The upstarts who would bang the doors, make the furniture levitate, play hide and clap with the kids, and assault members of the family. The hide and clap wasn't part of that. I just added that in.
Okay, all right.
Though it hasn't been disclosed, it's been suggested that one of the spirits even molested one of its weird.
Oh boy.
However, the worst of the spirits was Bathsheba, a witch and satanist back in the day, who hanged herself on a tree on the property when she lived there sometime in the 19th century. See, now that just contradicts what we just read before.
Yep.
That she died of old age. Which one's real?
The one before, probably.
She was also an unsociable old wench.
It's a word I haven't heard in a while.
And wanted the parents out. One night, Mrs. Perrin awoke to find the witch sitting by her bed, warning her to Get out. Get out. I'll drive you out with death and gloom. Needless to say, she wasn't welcoming them with a casserole. Hilarious, man. Man, they're putting jokes into this article. Holy moly. From then on out, the hauntings worsened until the family were forced to leave. Unlike in the film, the Warrens were unable to dispel the vicious spirits, forcing the family to vacate their home when finances allowed them to. So yeah, that's why they lived there for 10 years.
Shit, no, this is the Amityville horror. No, we're not getting into that today.
Yo, yeah, look at that picture.
Yeah, that's why we're not getting into that today.
Please? It's not that bad. Come on. That might be the Einfeld, though. What? No, yeah, no, that's Amityville. Yeah.
I wasn't even looking what happened. I don't want to know.
That's not even scary. This picture's not even scary, guy.
It's the context you need to have that makes things scary, or the lack of it.
Why are her eyes glowing?
I'm not looking at Discord. How about we move on to creepypasta?
All right, so you want to go first with yours,
I will go with the urban legend of the Hookman, thanks to thoughtco.com, who I'm of course stealing all this from.
Read it in a sexy voice,
British
like
voice?
all those other creepypastas do.
No. A teenage boy drove his date. Oh, perfect for Valentine's Day. This is perfect.
Here we go.
Everybody, if you have a loved one, I doubt you do, but if you do, make out with them.
Follow these instructions.
I was going to say make out with them while I say the story.
Word for word.
A teenage boy drove his date to a dark and deserted lover's lane for a makeout session. He turned on the radio for mood music, leaned over to whisper in the girl's ear, and began kissing her. Minutes later, the mood was broken when the music suddenly stopped mid-song. After a moment of silence, an announcer's voice came on, warning in an ominous tone that a convicted murderer had just escaped from the state insane asylum, which happened to be located within a half-mile of where they were parked, and urging that anyone who notices a man wearing a stainless steel hook in place of his right hand should immediately report his whereabouts to police. The girl became frightened and asked to be taken home. The boy, feeling bold, locked all the doors instead and, assuring his date would be safe, attempted to kiss her again. Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
She became frantic and pushed him away, insisting that they leave. Rather relentingly, the boy peevishly jerked the car into gear and spun its wheels as he pulled out of the parking space. When they arrived at the girl's house, she got out of the car and, reaching close to the door, began to scream uncontrollably. The boy ran to her side to see what was wrong, and there, hanging from the door handle, was a bloody hook.
Oh my god, they almost died.
Do you want me to go into the analysis that they have written here?
Nah.
Okay.
Unless there's something.
It just talks about sex is naughty.
Sex is naughty. You heard it here first, folks.
Sex
is naughty.
That's all I got today.
Right, and mine is, it's not a creepypasta because it's not a story. It's an urban legend of essentially the goat man. This one's interesting to me. It's actually called the Pope Lake Monster. But this one's interesting to me because it's in Kentucky, and I live in Kentucky. Oh, you can't say that. Yes, I can. I can say I live in Kentucky. Okay. They don't know where in Kentucky. The Pope, it's called the Pope Lick Monster, is a legendary part man, part goat,
part lick,
and part sheep. This creature reported to live beneath a railroad trestle bridge over Pope Lick Creek in Kentucky.
Yummy.
Look forward to a nice little vlog when Samuel comes down here to visit me. we're gonna break in.
Aren't you gonna tell him?
We're gonna go. Yeah, well, when we get to that part, yeah, we're. The urban legends. Numerous urban legends exist about the creature's origins and methods it employs to claim its victims. According to some accounts, the creature uses either hypnosis or voice mimicry to lure trespassers onto the trestle to meet their death before an oncoming train. So, when you go to the trestle and you hear your friend telling you to come onto the tracks, be like, hey bud, come here on the tracks, and he's standing right next to you, he definitely said it, so you should go onto the tracks.
Good to know.
Okay. Other stories claim the monster jumps down from the trestle onto the roofs of cars passing beneath it. So, you're driving underneath, I hear something on my car hood, I'm ditching the Taurus.
I'm gonna take control of the car then and, like, drive it into a tree or, like, smash the brakes or something.
And then we ditch the Taurus. Crash the car first and then ditch the Taurus. Yet other legends tell that it attacks its victims with a blood-stained axe. I like that. And the very sight of the creature is so unsettling that those who see it while walking across the high trestle are driven to leap off. Nice!
I like that one.
I'm not sure which one of those I'd rather take. Would I rather get hit by a train, have it jump onto the roof of my car, get attacked with a blood-stained axe, or jump off the trestle?
Well, that's hard to say.
That's a hard one. I think I'd have to ask him to wait for me to flip a couple coins to knock it down to just one before he tries to attack me.
Makes sense.
Be like, hold up, goat man.
Goat man.
We're gonna have to rock paper scissors for this one. Best 2 out of 3. Let's go.
We'll dance on the train tracks.
We'll dance on. This is my bridge now, goat man.
Except that's not the goat man. It's the Pope-like monster.
The Pope-like monster, basically.
Except part sheep too.
Yeah, it did say part sheep.
Wonder what he tastes like then.
It's like it's 1/3 man, 1/3 goat.
Oh, if it's part man, sheep, I'm not gonna eat it.
Which is kind of weird. Like, so does he have the head of a man, the body of a goat?
We'll Google it and look at the pictures. I'm sure they have pictures of them.
How does that work? I'll look at pictures after I'm done with this. Other legends hold that the monster is a human-goat hybrid, so just human and goat, and that it was a circus freak who vowed revenge after being mistreated. Dan, I'm so sorry.
We love you, circus people.
In one version, you ever? I wonder if he's seen The Greatest Showman. You know, maybe he'll gain some confidence in that by seeing that movie. You know,
The Greatest Showman. Yeah.
Yeah. In one version, it is said the monster escaped after a train derailed on the trestle. Another version, commonly told by locals of the area, claiming that the monster is really the twisted, reincarnated form of a farmer who sacrificed goats in exchange for the powers of Lucifer.
That's a pretty even exchange right there.
In the apartment complex downstairs.
Yep.
The legends have turned the area into a site for legend tripping. There have been a number of deaths and accidents at the trestle since its construction, despite the presence of an 8-foot fence to keep thrill seekers out. We're gonna have to climb an 8-foot fence, I guess.
Bring a ladder.
Dropping off of that, dude, you would probably break our foot or something, roll an ankle jumping off that 8-foot fence. You probably would, yeah. There's a common misconception that the trestle is abandoned and no longer used. In reality, the bridge carries a major rail artery into that city, Louisville.
Yeah.
Heavy freight trains cross the bridge several times daily, so it is easy for someone to get caught atop it while an oncoming train barrels down on them.
Oh, dude, is Tom Hanks the conductor of that train?
Hot chocolate.
Full speed ahead.
See, Okay, so we're linking stuff together here because if they're caught up there while a train is coming, it's either they get hit or they jump off. So obviously the goat man doesn't do that. They just have no choice but to either do one of those. The goat man has nothing to do with that, okay?
Again, the Pope Lick monster, but
now.
yes.
Pope Lick monster, sorry, okay. He has nothing to do with that. The monster was the subject of a 1988 film by Louisville filmmaker, Louisville. People are going to get triggered that I say Louisville. I'm from Wisconsin, okay? Sorry, I don't say things right. Filmmaker Ron can't say that name, called The Legend of the Pope Lick Monster. It's a 16-minute... Oh my god. It's $6,000 to make the film, and it's only 16 minutes long.
I mean, it depends how good. Maybe it's the CGI character. You never know.
Premiered on December 29th, 1988 at the Uptown Theater. Most of the film was shot at Pope Lick Trestle, but scenes showing the characters up on the trestle were shot at another, safer location. It's only 16 minutes.
Oh well. What you gonna do when they come for you?
Norfolk Southern Railway officials were very upset about the film as they thought it would encourage teenagers to visit the trestles. Well, you're not wrong, because we're going there. They found one scene in particular dangerously misleading. In the scene, the main character, a high school student, narrowly escapes an approaching train by hanging off the side of the trestle. In reality, few people would have the strength to hang there for 5 to 7 minutes it takes for a long train to clear the 772-foot trestle. I don't know why they had to include that. In addition, the vibrations from the train are so strong that the ground beneath the trestle shakes as the train passes. Nice. Because railroad officials were worried that the film would add to the death toll, Norfolk Southern issued a statement read at the premiere, which warned of the trestle's dangers and informed the audience that anyone caught on the trestle could be prosecuted for trespassing.
Wow, that's too bad. I guess we're not going.
So we can go underneath the trestle. We just can't go on top of the trestle.
There you go. Modern problems require
loopholes.
Modern solutions.
Despite the warnings, on April 23rd, 2016, a 26-year-old tourist from Ohio died after being hit by a train while searching for the monster. And get this, her boyfriend survived by hanging on the side of the trestle.
Yeah, so that guy was Ron before.
The story of the monster was featured in an episode of Destination America's Monsters and Mysteries in America entitled Ozarks. The Ozarks are in Missouri. Okay? What the hell? There is also a haunted attraction themed after the tale surrounding the Pope Lick monster called The Legend at Pope Lick, located at Pope Lick Park in Parkland's Floyd's Fork. I don't know where that is.
All right. Well,
so
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's that. Let's look at pictures of the Pope Lick monster.
Well, nobody at home is going to be able to see what it looks like, but
just make, when you put this on YouTube, just make it the thumb.
Not gonna. It's a little misleading. But what about our Spotify listeners?
Well, they're just gonna have to envision this. Okay, we got the Pope Lick monster
totally
right here.
Looks
okay?
real.
Yeah. Okay. So it's got the body of a man, of a human. It's got hooves, and it's got the head of a goat, and it has horns coming out of it. It's got, so like from waist up, it's human. Neck up is goat, and then the legs look human up until the ankle, and then it splits off into hooves. So that is the Pope Lick monster.
Good stuff.
So, envision that.
Good
in your
stuff.
Head.
All right.
Looks kind of creepy to me. Where's the movie version? This probably looks like the movie version.
Don't know. So
18.
I guess
it was made in 1988, so it's probably this one. 1988. That looks like some 1988 CGI.
probably.
Right
All right. Well, I guess that's it for what we got today. I hope everybody at home enjoyed the amazing stories that were told here today. So.
Oh yeah.
Next week, I don't know what we're gonna talk about. We'll figure it out. But anyway, if you're somehow loved by another person, then have a happy Valentine's Day. If not, well, we're all in this together.
Like High School
Yes.
Musical. Make sure to wrap your willy before you get silly this Valentine's Day, even though it already happened. But I ain't trying to have an overpopulation crisis in November. So
Bye.